Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel World of Wrestling here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite November 17th, 2021 review. Folks, this was a great Fallout show of Full Gear. I think this was an excellent way to kickstart the new reign of Hangman Page. Apparently, Brian Danielson, as he's now called in AEW, still like Daniel Bryan better than Brian Danielson. I don't know why, but hey, what are you gonna do? Anyway, apparently Brian Danielson has been abducted by aliens and transformed into somebody totally different out of nowhere because for some strange reason, Brian Danielson has decided to become a heel. In his intro promo with Hangman Page, we got a little bit of insults going around. Not to mention, apparently Hangman Page and the Dark Order have announced that it's a National Cowboy Shit Day. Or National Day Cowboy Shit. Some shit like that. I don't know. Whatever, man. Apparently, I think Hangman Page needs to get Daniel Bryan put him in his back mirror. He needs to get this match taken care of pronto. And I mean pronto, man. He needs to take care of him and bust his ass. That's what he needs to do. He needs to show Brian Danielson that Hangman Page is here to stay and he's for real. Because bottom line, this win over Brian Danielson is going to give him the biggest upside in his career. Besides beating Kenny Omega, Hangman Page beating Brian Danielson, a superstar on mega proportions, probably the biggest name in the company today, right now at this point. I don't think anyone bigger has come to AEW like Brian Danielson outside of CM Punk, but CM Punk became irrelevant when it came to professional wrestling because he was gone for 7 years. But with all that being said, this is a big opportunity for them to highlight and make Hangman Page mean just a little bit more than what he already is. I think it was great that he won the World Championship. Brian Danielson being the first opponent for that world title and him defeating him after all the trash talking he already gave in this very first promo and shitting all over Virginia, which is beyond insane. I don't know what the fuck he's shitting on people for, where he's got this attitude from, but it's just kind of random out of nowhere. But I think it'll be great for Hangman Page and his run as the AEW World Champion. Eventually, that is going to lead to MJF. This title, the next one in line to win the World Championship will be MJF. MJF was all over this show tonight in 2 separate segments. This guy is being placed as the next man in line, hands down. If you can't see it, you're blind. You got blinders over your eyes. You can't see where the fuck you're going. Because plain and simple, that is where it's going. MJF is next in line. He even mentioned Hangman Page in his promo later on in the same episode when he had his actual segment where he was talking in the middle of the ring. Speaking of that promo, we also had CM Punk show up, the best in the world. When he went ahead and he says he's the best in AEW, out came CM Punk. Did he really say anything? No, his laughter said it all. He thinks he's a joke. Now, I wouldn't say MJF's a joke, but based on the way CM Punk was just standing in the ring with his hands crossed and him just staring him up and down and then laughing in his face and then walking away, pretty much tells me what CM Punk thinks of MJF. Now, granted, I don't know who the hell you make win this match, because this match is going to take place sooner or later. I believe at Revolution, we are going to see CM Punk face MJF. This is going to be a little bit of a build going into Revolution. And then we're going to see these two guys go at it at Revolution, have their match, and whoever wins, wins. I think it's going to be MJF. I think he is going to give CM Punk his first loss. I think CM Punk should stay undefeated all the way up to this build to Revolution, and you give MJF the big win. You have Hangman Page beat one of the big names in AEW right now, and actually, Bryan Danielson is undefeated in AEW right now. Still, he only has a tie in his record. So him defeating an undefeated performer and then MJF defeating CM Punk with him being undefeated, having these two guys collide at Double or Nothing next year would be fantastic. And if it's taking place in Las Vegas, I find it very hard for me to pass that up and go see it live. I really have been wanting to see AEW perform live. They just have not come to the Amalie Arena in Tampa. So it really kind of pisses me off that they haven't. But in a way, I know why. It's probably dealing with budget or something of that kind of nature. Or maybe they're just worried they may not have enough popularity here in the Tampa Bay area. I'm not sure. But honestly, I would pay money to go see that and go to Vegas. I'd be able to make it a fucking week vacation in Las Vegas and see Double or Nothing between two future star performers of AEW going at it over the World Championship. That would be like an amazing thing for me to see. I think that would be fucking awesome. Including a week vacation in Vegas. Holy shit. But yeah, man, this show was a stacked show. The main event for the TNT World Championship. Holy fuck, that was a great match. That main event was, I would pay to see that on pay-per-view. Seriously. That was fucking awesome match. The kudos to both of those men. They killed each other in that matchup. I couldn't believe what they did to each other. That was insane. But yeah, these guys really went at it. They kicked each other's ass. And I gotta say, this was one of the better Dynamite episodes in the last couple of weeks. Not saying that this was the best Dynamite ever. Don't get me wrong. This wasn't the greatest Dynamite that I've ever seen. But this was a good show. Hands down, it was a good show. A lot of things took place that you could have found entertainment out of. There was a lot of good segments. There were some good things that took place on this episode. There were some matches I didn't really care for. It was, whatever. But majority of the show was good. And thumbs up to them, man. Good job to those guys and what they had to offer for this episode. Because last couple episodes, I haven't been, going all crazy. I've been enjoying Rampage better than Dynamite, which is kind of weird, and that's only an hour show. But this Dynamite episode was definitely what the doctor ordered. This was something that needed to take place. This was a good show, hands down. A lot of good stuff took place on here. The one match of Bryan Danielson versus Evil Uno was a good match, and Evil Uno is not exactly what you would call a great performer as an in-ring competitor. But then again, let's think about this. We're talking about Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest wrestlers. He could have a fucking match with a fucking poster and make the poster look good in a match. It's crazy. This guy is one of the greatest in the world, and I think he is going to do the right thing and put over Hangman Page. Honestly, if Bryan Danielson is able to perform in a G1 Climax tournament somewhere down the line next year, you guys may hear from me about New Japan Wrestling, because there has been rumors running around that Bryan Danielson may eventually, given the okay by AEW, he will be able to perform in Japan for New Japan Wrestling. So that would be a great thing for him to actually be part of, being a G1 Climax. I think that's probably what he's looking for in his career, to claim that he won that. I do believe that if you win the G1 Climax, that gives you the right to face the world champion, whoever that might be, at Wrestle Kingdom in January 4th, or on January 4th of whatever year he gets to perform in front of a live crowd. I gotta say, that would be fucking awesome. Another match that would be awesome is seeing seeing Bryan Danielson go up against Okada. Holy shit. I would pay money to see that. Fuck, man, that would be a great match. There's just like endless things that is taking place on AEW that's just unbelievable. I'm really happy with what I've been seeing. I'm enjoying what I have with this company. I mean, there's not much you can complain about. Is there some things that are boring? Yes, I won't deny that, but at the end of the day, this show really hits it majority of the time. There was also a small segment with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was being recorded by Brandon Cutler, and he said, you know, some people might say, oh, when are you going to get your rematch for the World Championship? And he said, personally, I'm not going to ask for a rematch. Hangman Page beat me clean. He was very humble. He wasn't acting cocky or acting like a fucking dick or anything. He accepted the loss. He accepted the, what took place. He didn't make any excuses, which I was really happy about. That's a cool way for a heel to act. Unfortunately, I think with him taking a break and asking the Young Bucks and Adam Cole to hold down the fort, which he actually said, I'm not including you, I'm just talking to the Bucks. That was a little bit, that definitely gives you a sign that Kenny Omega will be kicked out of the Elite at some point once he comes back. So, yeah, things are not looking so hot for good old Kenny Omega, the cleaner. But yeah, he was very humble. He didn't, go ahead and have a hissy fit about losing the match. He said, hey man, I lost the match. I need to go back and, take some time off and relax and just think things over, and I'll be back. And that's basically it. That's pretty much the situation with Hangman Page, with Kenny Omega. And well deserving. He has done a lot in this last year of being world champion. Since December of last year, I mean, the guy has busted his ass. He was working for 2 different promotions at the same time. He was the Impact World Champion and the AEW World Champion. He also was a fucking AAA champion. I mean, he was holding 3 different world titles at one time. The guy was killing himself, literally. And he just really was busting his ass for all 3 of these companies. So if he ain't in your top 3 wrestlers of the year, performer of the year, you're fucking crazy. You got to be out of your damn mind. See, here's my 3 guys that I would put in the 3 performers of the year. It would be Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns, and Bryan Danielson. Those 3 guys have had memorable matches throughout this year so far. Roman Reigns had a good match with fucking Cesaro, a guy that really didn't have much going for him. Roman Reigns had a great match with fucking Edge at Money in the Bank. I'm justifying why I'm putting Roman Reigns in here. I know this is a WWE guy, and I'm not really a fan of WWE, but let's be honest, Roman Reigns has had some really good matches with a lot of people. I mean, the year before that, in 2020, he had a great match with Drew McIntyre while he was the WWE champion for a second time. I mean, Roman Reigns has been on fire for the last year and a half. This guy is more than deserving to be in my top 3. And then you got Bryan Danielson performing for 2 different companies, WWE and AEW, and giving his all in every match he was in. His last match going out of WWE, he had a pay-per-view quality match with Roman Reigns on SmackDown for the Universal Championship. I mean, give me a break. And then the other match he had at what's it called? Fastlane. Him and Bryan Danielson tore the house down with that match and told a good story with Edge added into it. I mean, that was unbelievable. And then you have Bryan Danielson come over to AEW and he's giving you these matches with mid-card guys and having outstanding matches with them. Winning matches in different technical moves that are not really his finishers. I mean, tonight he beat Evil Uno with a triangle choke and was flexing his muscles like he was Nate Diaz from a UFC pay-per-view fight. I mean, that was fucking crazy. Holy shit. But yeah. Anyway, let's get right into this because I've kind of gone over 15 minutes of a cold opener. Really haven't really touched on anything at this point. Anyway, let's get right into it. We had the Dark Order announce a National Cowboy Shit Day and introduce the new AEW World Champion, Hangman Page. Hangman Page comes out to a loud ovation from the crowd. He's smiling. He's happy. He's holding the championship. He's extremely ecstatic, and he was happy that he was able to beat Kenny Omega for the World Championship. So he goes on and he says, he told the audience since day one his boss was the fans. So he'd love to celebrate National Cowboy Shit Day with them all. He knows the title carries a lot of weight and responsibility, and the next responsibility is the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. Sure enough, out comes Danielson. He came out to essentially say one thing: congratulations, Hangman Page. He shakes the champ's hand. He's super excited for the match, but he's a little surprised and disappointed that it's not Kenny Omega. This was a little weird that he was upset that it wasn't Kenny Omega, I guess because of the fact that he didn't get to finish his business with Kenny Omega from the match they had on Dynamite about a month or two ago in the Grand Slam Dynamite episode, and he ends up not winning the match. Well, Hangman Page makes a statement about that. He says, well, yeah, I actually beat the same guy you face, and I beat him in less than 30 minutes. Which struck Bryan Danielson a little bit. He kind of took offense to that. So he strikes back and goes, okay, well, I know you busted your ass. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm dressed in my gear. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to perform. How about we just go ahead and have this match tonight? And he goes, oh, wait, I know. You're not ready for your match. Clearly from what you're wearing this shitty ass fucking clothes with this garbage jacket, and your cowboy boots are on and all this, and you don't even look like you're ready. And he name drops WrestleMania. He says, well, I won the world championship at WrestleMania, and the next night I was performing after I had 2 matches at WrestleMania and won the world heavyweight championship. I was like, what? He name dropped WrestleMania on a fucking AEW show? Holy shit. You know, the last time any promotion announced or mentioned anything from another promotion's pay-per-view or even dropped the name of the company on another person's show was back in the Monday Night Wars between WCW and WWE. I mean, back in the day, they shit on each other's gimmicks. They shit on each other's, they talk about the other company of the they didn't call him the competition. They said, hey, this guy was a former WCW world champion. This guy's a former WWF champion and what have you. They would announce and acknowledge the other company's championship belts because they both knew they were on the same level. And this was just unbelievable that he name dropped WrestleMania on a fucking AEW show. I couldn't believe it. That was crazy. But yeah, one thing led to another. He said some pretty terrible things to him. And I'm scratching my head going, what the fuck happened to Bryan Danielson? Did he get abducted by aliens or some shit? Did somebody tell him, hey, when you go on the show, act like a complete dick for no apparent reason? He was even taking shots at the fucking Virginia crowd. It was unbelievable. I really couldn't understand that at all. It made no sense. But in a certain way, I guess it does make sense. I mean, maybe he's not he's not technically a heel. He's just being a dick to this guy to get him pissed off and make him make a mistake at some point down the line so he can beat him for that world championship. Basically playing psychological games with him, but in reality, he does have a lot of respect for the guy. But whatever the case may be, I prefer the face Bryan Danielson, not the heel Bryan Danielson, because he hasn't done... The fans don't hate him. He's only saying shit and it's making the fans hate him. It's not like he's gotten stale as a face. He's just acting like a dick for no apparent reason. It makes no sense. And he's not on a downward spiral either. So I'm not quite understanding this change of heart or change of character by Bryan Danielson. It's really weird. But this led to them brawling and then eventually having Evil Uno and Bryan Danielson have the match. I already stated that Bryan Danielson won by a triangle choke, and he was flexing his biceps, acting as if he was Nate Diaz from a UFC fight, which I thought was absolutely weird. So after the match, Shivani gets in the ring to note that fans are letting Bryan have it. Danielson notes because of Page's behavior, he ended up kicking Uno's head in. So until he gets his title shot against Hangman, he's going to kick all the Dark Order's heads off one by one. And next week they're in Chicago, so he's going to challenge Colt Cabana to a one-on-one match next week. Wow. Colt Cabana gets to have his moment in the sun with a notable name on AEW. They ought to just have Colt Cabana go up against CM Punk and revisit that shit that they did back in 2014. They went from best friends to being worst enemies. I think that would be kind of a cool idea just to give Colt Cabana something to do, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad idea. Who the hell knows? If you guys like the idea, let me know in the comments down below. If not, I understand. It is a little personal, and it was kind of a bad thing that both of them had with each other. But hey, Punk and Eddie Kingston did it. Why can't they do it? Yeah, that was pretty much that. And then MJF is shown after his match with Darby Allin. He's covered in red marks and says that Darby Allin's shame is also on him from his paint. He's made the fans look like idiots. He got the effort bell to bell. He says he doesn't know what's going on with his knee, but he knows what's going on in his head. They have no choice but to admit just how darn good he is. He just beat Darby Allin with a headlock takedown, and who knows what's next for Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He's better than you, and now you have no choice but to admit it. Love the change in the gimmick, the catchphrase, I should say. I think that was an excellent way of twisting the words around a little bit there. Smart move on MJF. I thought that was very intelligent and very entertaining to actually hear him say that. Tony Schiavone is backstage now with Eddie Kingston. Before he can say anything, he's actually interrupted by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. They talk trash, saying Garcia hung better against Punk than Eddie did. He gets face to face with Garcia and tells him he doesn't respect him because he lets the two blockheads call them their son. And Eddie said Punk wanted to wrestle. Well, he's going to fight Garcia. 2.0 pull Garcia away. And Eddie is begging to just have one promo without being interrupted. And he says, well, I'm going to go to catering. I'm sorry to tell you, Eddie Kingston, you went to the wrong company for going to catering. Catering's more for like a WWE performer. See, in your case, you're a liable act and gimmick that AEW can rely on and actually give respect to. Yet, you do lose matches here and there against big names, but there's one thing you are actually kept. You're kept relevant to the audience, and people know who the fuck you are, at least. You get promos, you get segments, you get time to, make appearances of some kind. A lot of the performers in WWE, they don't get to do that. They get to do what you are doing all the time in catering. So I'd be pretty happy being in AEW, not wanting to be in catering. I'd want to find someone and kick their ass in the middle of the ring. But to each his own. All right, so next we have the Butcher and the Blade against Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii. This was a good match. Tomohiro Ishii, I've seen him a lot in New Japan Wrestling. He's actually the never open weight champion currently right now. That title sometimes does change hands quite frequently. Other times it stays with the same person for a while. It's a pretty prestigious title, and it's a pretty hard title to keep because you're defending it a lot on a lot of different events. You get to face anybody and everyone from any weight class. So it is a pretty hard title to keep, but a lot of the titles are hard to keep anyway to begin with. They are full throttle, strong style type wrestling where you have to endure a lot of pain through a fixed show, which is pretty fucking insane. If you haven't seen a New Japan Wrestling show yet, I can imagine the people that tune into my channel probably have. But if you haven't, definitely go ahead. It's only $9.99. Try it for a month. If you're enjoying it, keep it. If not, just give it 1 month and see how it is. I wouldn't recommend canceling it because once you cancel it, you can't reuse it. They won't give you a month period after you've just paid it. So keep it for that month before it comes due to be, recharged to your card again, and just give yourself some time to see how you like it. And if you like it after the 30 days, keep it. Because I'll tell you what, I enjoyed it for the time I had it. The only problem I have with it is that I have so many other subscriptions, I don't have time to get to all of them. So I really can't have that subscription because all I'm doing is paying for something I can't even watch. I don't have the time to watch all the subscriptions I have. So I had to get rid of that. At some point I may have to get rid of some of my other subscriptions just to save a little bit more money on my credit card bill. But other than that, it's a good thing to have for subscription if you're a real big time wrestling fan. And of course, you get to see every fucking Wrestle Kingdom that was ever done in the last couple of years, which they have been pretty good. Yeah, I mean, if you give it 30 days and you're not liking it, I can understand why you probably won't like it. It is changed a lot since the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and the rest of the Bullet Club have kind of diminished off into other promotions and so forth. And Cody not being there either, which made the show even better. A lot of the guys from AEW that were on New Japan Wrestling made that show fucking great. Unfortunately, they didn't stay because AEW came about. What the hell are they going to be in Japan for? They don't need to be there. Stay in America where they were born. But yeah, Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii actually wins this match. It was a good matchup, pretty solid match. Nothing bad about it. The Butcher actually lost some weight. He's very lean He's more lean than he was before. He looks pretty good. And he moved around the ring pretty well too. So kudos to him for getting himself in some shape and looking better than he was before. We then had Conte having a promo about Britt Baker and how she felt about the match that she had. She didn't really feel like she lost the match. Even in defeat, she felt like she won regardless. Shivani is with Andrade and FTR. And Andrade says to Cody and Pac he's prepared to show them his bad side. And FTR wants to partner with Malachi Black and Andrade for an 8-man tag team match until he calls out Arn Anderson as well. So apparently we are going to get the Lucha Brothers, Pac and Cody against Malachi Black, Andrade, and FTR in a 8-man tag team match. That will be taking place next week on the day before Thanksgiving, which should be a pretty entertaining match. I actually think it will be a good match. I don't know if it will be the main event, but I think it should be a good matchup overall. Nyla Rose had a match with Hikaru Shida. Nyla Rose wins this match. This match was actually one of the matches I did not care for all that much. The wrestling in this did not entertain me all that much. I kind of had my face into my phone trying to fix my FanDuel lineups for football this coming week. So that's pretty much all I was really caring about at that time. So I didn't really focus on this match all that much. Malachi Black had a segment backstage, a vignette, I guess you could say, and it was, nothing too extravagant or entertaining. He just said Malachi Black is ready for next week's 8-man tag. Deep breath, my friends, while the oxygen is still on your side. He pretty much makes the analogy that when they get in the ring, the oxygen will become toxic. It will clog up their lungs and they will fall down in defeat, basically. It was the point of that promo. MJF comes out with Shawn Spears and Wardlow. Max hands the microphone to Spears, and Shawn says he would appreciate absolute silence at this time. MJF grabs the mic to mock Norfolk, and they're looking at the guy who checks all the boxes. He's easily the most complete pro wrestler on the planet. He's the past, present, and easily the most complete and the future of professional wrestling. I was reading the original line I was reading there. Sorry about that. He says he could take a big cowboy shit right now on their hometown boys' title reign. He says he deserves to be the next AEW World Champion. Nobody in that locker room is as good as him, and nobody in the locker room is on his level. And then we get the best in the world, CM Punk. His music hits. He comes out. He walks up the ramp. He walks down the ramp, gets into the ring, stares down at CM Punk or MJF. CM Punk stares down MJF, stares him down with his hands crossed, looks up and down, and then laughs and walks away. Nothing was said. Zilch nada. Real simple, folks. We are seeing the beginning stages of a program between CM Punk and MJF. I don't know if we're going to get the same kind of build like we did with Darby Allin, but we are going to get a build coming soon. You can bank on that. There was also mention with Darby Allin backstage after that segment that Darby Allin wants a match with MJF soon. He wants a rematch. He thinks that, yeah, they both had a great match, but he felt he could have won that match. Unfortunately, came short. He says he wants another match, and he wants to continue to face the biggest and baddest guys on the roster that AEW has to offer. And then Billy Gunn shows up and says he's the biggest, the baddest guy on the roster. I'm like, what the fuck? Darby Allin had that same kind of attitude. Like, all right, man, let's have the match. We'll do it next week. So, we're having that match take place. Nothing big there. Darby Allin didn't seem too excited either, and neither am I. So, I think that's a load of shit. Lio Rush and Dante Martin continue to have a great chemistry together as tag team / manager wrestler type of relationship. I'm actually enjoying this. I thought at first Lio Rush being a manager to Dante Martin wasn't really necessary, but with these two having a relationship, tag team and manager / wrestling role, I'm kind of liking this. We're giving Lio Rush kind of his own ability to say he's a wrestler but also a manager at the same time. I'm enjoying this. I think this is really good for Dante Martin, especially with his brother being out with injury. I do believe he shows back up earlier next year. I think around February or March, somewhere around there. I might be wrong about that. If I am, let me know in the comments down below about Dante Martin's brother. But they had a match with The Acclaim. The Acclaim is a good tag team. There's one small problem, and I don't know what the fuck TK is doing, but every match Acclaim has been in the last couple of weeks, they've been losing. They're in the losing end of everything. Now, I don't know if they're winning on Dark, Elevation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know if that is where they're winning their matches while they're losing on broadcast television, but if you're going to get them on there, they're a good tag team. Have them win. They deserve it. And what's happened with Private Party, man? Private Party's kind of like fell off the face of the earth. They're not doing shit. And they're a good tag team as well. They got a big roster of tag teams, and they're not utilizing as much as they used to. That's probably the only thing I could really say. Maybe utilizing more of their tag team division and also getting the women's division looking better. I mean, they're improving. Don't get me wrong by what I just said, but they still need to get them on a higher level. AEW's women's division is not exactly at the level it needs to be yet. They're getting there. They just need to improve on it. That's really all I have to say on that. But this match was excellent. I loved what Lio Rush and Dante Martin did together in this match. Acclaim was really good. The intro to the match with the Acclaim with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens was excellent. I enjoyed the fucking comments that they made about Lio Rush and the comments they made about Dante Martin being like them both being virgins, that Lio Rush should stick with being a manager, that kind of stuff. I thought that was funny as hell. But unfortunately, Lio Rush and Dante Martin defeat the Acclaim, and the Acclaim suffer another loss. After the match is over, though, Taz offers his condolences to Lio Rush's family member, his grandmother. for her passing and whatnot. And Taz says they'll be patient. They were patient with Hobbs, and Ricky Starks tells Dante, here's the deal. If he goes with Team Taz, he's on his way to the Hall of Fame career. But if he doesn't, he's off to a mediocre one. The choice is his, and that's all Ricky Starks had to say. Personally, I don't particularly care for this. I don't want to see Dante Martin anywhere near Team Taz. Team Taz has not done shit lately. What I would like to see is Dante Martin versus Ricky Starks in a one-on-one match. Possibly at a pay-per-view, one-on-one, or you can even do it at a buy-in. Whatever the case may be, but these two need to face each other. It's a must-match. A match that people are going to want to see. These two guys can perform at a very high level, and I think Dante Martin would do good enough against a guy like Ricky Starks. And truthfully, Ricky Starks could use an opponent like Dante Martin at this point. He hasn't done anything lately since Brian Cage and him are done. So it is what it is. Christian Cage is with Jurassic Express. They see Cole and Bobby Fish on Friday night. And that's pretty much what takes place there. They made an announcement for that match earlier on in the show. They also make a funny little promo with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. And then introducing Bobby Fish as Adam Cole's tag team partner against Jurassic Express and Jurassic Express. And then Bobby Fish went ahead and said, and then they Young Bucks and Adam Cole stopped Bobby Fish, saying, no, we can't say that here. That's the other show. Like, oh my God, they're dropping fucking little things about WWE on their own show, and then they're making jokes that they can't say it. That would have been so funny though to hear Bobby Fish say, and that is undisputed. I mean, that would have been freaking great. I really would love to see them maybe buy the rights to the name of the Undisputed Era. I mean, like, what is WWE going to do with that name? Are they ever going to use it? I mean, come on. That's fucking classic, man. They had some really great stuff with those guys. WWE lost a fucking foundation of a faction with Undisputed Era. They could have been the new version or a modern day era of the NWO. Just basically taking over whatever brand they decide to put them on and just make them terrorize that fucking place. They did that with NXT coming to SmackDown right after the little incident that took place on the in the Crown Jewel or Super Showdown, whatever the fuck it was called at that time. And they just had a blast with that SmackDown episode, despite the fact that some of the guys weren't able to show up for that show. And they did a great job. They had the Undisputed Era and the rest of NXT take over SmackDown. That's what they could have done with just the Undisputed Era by themselves. So that would have been a really cool thing for them to do. But, of course, like always, WWE fails to take the opportunity to make something great because they're not really intending to make anyone great. They just want to make money, and that's it. They're not looking to build new stars. If you expect them to, you're going to be sadly disappointed. And that's what they do. They disappoint every single time. Anyway, main event, and then I will cut this video off and be done with the review. We had the TNT Championship defended with Sammy Guevara and Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal came into this match looking great. Did an awesome job with Sammy Guevara. Excellent main event. Could have been on pay-per-view if you really wanted to throw that in there on like Full Gear card if Sammy Guevara didn't really have anything to do. This would have been a great match. A great way to actually kickstart the show if you really want to get technical. But MJF and Darby Allin did a great job kickstarting the opener of Full Gear on that pay-per-view. But this match was excellent. Really good stuff. Overall, it looked like Jay Lethal was going to win. Sammy Guevara looked like he was severely hurt with his ribs, and he managed to pull through. He hit Jay Lethal several times in the skull with running knee shots, and he ends up defeating him with a 1-2-3, and that's how the match and the show goes off the air. They both show class, they shake hands, they congratulate each other, raise each other's hands, and that is the end of the show. That is your AEW Dynamite episode for November 17, 2021. So at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.